Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this NVCOG Lunch and Learn. It is, if you're not here for regional tree canopy assessment, I have no idea why you're here. Today we will be going over a project that NVCOG has been working on for the past couple of years now, and we're wrapping up. We're drafting the report as we speak. And we want your feedback as the boots on the ground in all of our towns in preparation of this report, so it works for you and all the information is available to you for your use. Nope, I gotta turn it on. You told me to turn it on. Yeah. Virtual housekeeping, if you're online, please stay muted. We will have opportunities for you to unmute and ask questions. You can also use the reaction button at the bottom of your screen to use the raise hand function. So the agenda for today, we'll introduce the NVCOG staff working on this project. We'll review what's been done so far and the goals and objectives of the project. We'll show you some of the data that we've received thus far. And then we'll have an interactive activity called the data walk, where you get there's images around the room. You'll pair off into groups of 2 or 3 and create sort of discussions about the data, and we'll try to get your feedback on that. And then we'll all come back together to, see any big big topics to discuss. And then we'll review all of our next steps. So as I said, I'm Richard Crowther. I'm the GIS and Technology Coordinator, project manager for this project.
I'm Danny Thomas. I'm a GIS analyst here at NVCOG.
And then I'll let the environmental planning team.
Hello, Aaron Butters. I'm the environmental planning director here, and also a Yankees optimist. It was opening day tonight.
Hi, I'm Christina O'Neill. I'm a senior environmental planner working on the project.
And you met me earlier, but I'm Molly Johnson, environmental planner as well.
And then we also have member of the comms team.
I'm Desiree Blanchard, communications and community engagement coordinator, and Heidi Cornell, who's not with us as our communications associate.
There will be in later slides. There's much more opportunities for public engagement with this project. And then for everyone who didn't hear, we are joined by First Selectman Zolpa from Woodbury.
And First Selectman Kaleo from Congressman.
And thank you, First Selectman Saleo, for joining us virtually. So far, this is a grant that came from congressional directed spending back in 22. So we received the original grant award in 23. As soon as we found out we were getting the award, we contacted the University of Vermont Spatial Analysis Laboratory. They specialize in doing tree canopy assessments. They've been doing it for years. And with that, after getting the contract with them, we were using data from 2016 and 2023. The aerial imagery for the assessment is NAPE imagery, so it's LEAF-on from 2016 and 2023. And then LiDAR information was used from the 2016 state flight and the 2023 state flight. However, that took an extra 9 months for processing. So that put us back 9 months from our original start date. We also hit other delays. The program manager at the Spatial Analysis Laboratory passed away when we were beginning. So they had staff difficulty and they had staff transition. Then they had technical difficulties for one summer, and so they lost some of the work they already did for on the assessment. And then we've just been chugging along this last fall. We have received most of the data from the assessment. We received it last month. The Naugatuck Technology Department's been reviewing it. And we've received the first draft since UVM is writing the report for us. We've already sent back a heap load of comments. And also statistics that we felt should be in a municipal profile that each town will get. So you're getting, it's not just based on the region, it's also, you know, focuses on each of your municipalities. So why are we even doing this? Just to understand the conditions of the region. Basically building digital infrastructure of our environment. Part of the assessment is helping where more trees should be planted or can be planted. We are also here on the planning side to help you with ordinances and with municipal guidance when it comes to urban forestry or street plantings. We want to make sure we're also supporting local nonprofits. We know Nest in Waterbury is working on several tree planting grants. So it's been to the river in Southbury. We have several nature centers in the region, so we want to, you know, make sure that they're all supported as well. And then also, you know, tree canopy adds to public health, improves air quality, and considering we have a major interstate and an expressway going through the region either direction, more trees, the healthier this region is. So the data that we're getting with this project is where the tree canopy is, where trees tentatively are, the trunk of the tree, the change from 2016 to 2023 of the canopy. So we can see any loss or growth. We also are getting good land cover information, which is not land use. And then land cover change. We're getting the individual tree crowns. So if a town, let's say Woodbury, who has a shade tree and sidewalk committee, wants to do an actual inventory, it's now possible. Then there's also forest patches, and then doing urban heat index, which is an issue in the majority of our urban towns. And then this data also comes at different geographies. So it comes at the region, comes at the whole municipal level, goes down to the census tract and block group level. We also did some analysis with EJ communities. Also pertinent are sub-regional local watersheds for watershed planning. And then just for symbology's sake, at the regional level, there's hexagons. They're just there to show at the large geography. And now let Danny talk about the existing conditions.
So, hi everyone, my name is Danny Thomas. In addition to being a GIS analyst here at NVCOG, my background also lends me the honor of being an ISA certified arborist and a Connecticut certified forester. So this project, when I came across my desk, is really one that I was excited to be a part of. I know with my audience here, I don't really need to go too much into the benefits of trees, but I'm going to do it anyway, just to give you a quick refresher. You know, trees are great. They provide cleaner air. That cleaner air can lead to better health, especially in certain communities. You'll find areas that have higher tree canopies are going to have lower asthma rates. In a similar way, you know, they also provide shade, and in doing that is going to provide a lower temperature. And really cool fact I find about this is energy savings. You'll find that homes with more trees around their house and businesses are going to have lower energy costs in the summertime, especially when that heat is bearing down, because they're not going to have to heat up the house or cool down the house as much. It's not going to require as much energy to do that. And rainwater capture is another great benefit that we have of our trees. A lot of trouble going towards our stormwater systems and backing those up. So having trees to suck up some of that water that's coming down is real helpful in that respect. So we all know trees are good, but where do we lie now? So with that, our tree canopy sits at about 66% from the 2023 aerial flyover. Believe it or not, that's actually up from the 64.2% in the 2016. We had over 13,000 acres of gain and 86,000 acres of loss. For those of you who are not familiar, this is an outline of our region. Most of your towns should be falling within this region. Just some more of the statistics there. Again, a 1.75% absolute percent increase. And the existing tree canopy is 173,000 acres. So you're probably wondering about, well, where does my town fall on this? Our leader in the clubhouse is Plymouth with a 76% tree canopy covered. Waterbury is the lowest, and Seymour is right at our median of 67%. Our average, as I said earlier, was 66%. So you can find where the averages lay and where your town relates to that. Let's see, make sure I covered everything. So I don't think that tells the entire story, though. There's a lot of things going on in this data that we can glean from it. And one of the things I wanted to emphasize here can be seen in this comparison in Bristol. This is near the intersection of Middle Street and Pine Street. You can see here, this is the 2016 aerial imagery. And, oh, missed it. That's the 2023 aerial imagery. And you see a large portion was taken out of that, and that's very apparent. Some of the things that weren't apparent, though, was like just from switching between the aerial imagery itself, was the canopy growth. There was a decent amount of canopy growth in this picture that you don't really see. So let me change it and kind of see what the data shows that we have gotten from the University of Vermont. You'll see that orange area there. That was the area that was cut out. And this picture, or this gray imagery in the background, that's from 2016. So you'll see that orange area that was cut out, and the purple area was the area of no changes. But you can see, if you look close enough, that there's a lot of areas of growth on the left side and of individual trees throughout this neighborhood and throughout the streets. And it can even be better seen here in the 2023 imagery. You look closely enough, you'll see some growth in the trees, especially in the top left corner. You can see areas that have expanded. That being said, is this tree canopy growth, is that new trees, or is that trees that have expanded their canopy to get larger? That's a great question. I'm leaning more towards, we're seeing a lot more tree canopy expansion than new trees, but that's something we're going to go over in our data walk, and I hope you guys can take a good look at and try and determine for yourself what you see. So this is just a breakdown of what was lost and what was gained. Again, we had about 13,000 acres of gain, about 8,000 acres of loss, and for the most part, 160,000 acres of no change. So that will be areas where the tree canopy didn't expand, or, we have a lot of forests that have already completed their canopy closure. They're not going to be growing any more canopy, except maybe around the edges over streets and over over pervious surfaces. So now we're trying to increase tree canopy. We know we're at 66%. There's definitely areas that can be increased. Well, where can we plant? Make sure. So first I want to kind of go over some definitions here. We have the existing tree canopy. Again, that's about 66% of land area covered. And then we have the possible vegetated tree canopy. So this is areas that are theoretically able for establishment. I like to call these places shovel-ready places. All you gotta do is dig your shovel in the ground, plant a tree. That's what you're looking for. That's gonna be the easiest places to plant. And then you have places called possible impervious tree canopy. Those are gonna be the areas that are more difficult to plant trees, but not necessarily impossible. For example, a parking lot where you wanna add an island instead of just having an entire swath of open parking lot. It does not include roads of almost any sort and buildings. Those are not included in that. And then what those are included is are not suitable property where it's gonna be highly unlikely that any new tree could be established. All right. So the existing conditions here, we're gonna find that again, 66% existing tree canopy, and then 22% area is possible vegetation. Those are gonna be our target areas for, trees that are shovel ready. And we have the possible impervious as well. That's about 6% of our land area. Areas that I would love to see converted to have tree canopy coverage. Spoke with some kids at Wilby High School who told me that they'd be willing to walk further from an area that had a shade tree over it, over their parking spot, than had a closer spot that was in the sun. Really interesting discussions we had from the high schoolers over there at Wilby for an event we were working at with them. So this is a breakdown by town. Certain areas are gonna have more percentage of their areas. Certain towns are gonna have more percentages of their areas, like Bethlehem. It's gonna be your leading contender for possible vegetative areas. And certain areas like Waterbury are gonna have not a lot more not suitable areas to plant trees. So you can find your town there and kind of figure that out, but yeah. And then as well as in the existing conditions here, we have a little bit of our tree canopy change data. So every town in our region of our 19 towns, they increased. Even if it was a very small amount, they did increase. You can see Derby had the smallest increase in size of air in terms of area. But Derby is also our smallest town, so that sort of makes sense. The absolute change, you can see we had as high as about 3%, 3 or 4% in Naugatuck, and Cheshire. So that's kind of the data that's been going on there. The lowest in our region, I believe, is Oxford, with about a 0.5% increase in canopy, and we average 1.75 across the region. So our acres change, again, this is just kind of showing your municipality. You can see that for the most part, the green is slightly larger than the orange, which is the loss. The green is the gain. And pretty much in every town that is the case. And I'm thankful for that. As I mentioned earlier, whether or not it is the canopy expansion or whether or not it is new plantings, I lean more towards it's most likely canopy expansion. So some fun statistics to go over here real quick with you. Is that this is our distribution of heights. We have a median tree height of 76.1 feet. And you can see that's about right in the middle of that bell distribution. And our tallest tree is located in a private forest in Thomaston, and that is 160.5 feet. Just a little fun fact for you. In a similar vein, this data also measured crown spread of the individual trees. Well, I don't think the largest crown spread was actually accurate. The median of the crown spread was 854 square feet. So they're just pretty cool statistics that a tree can cover up 864 square feet of land area. To put that in comparison, if any you go out to a tailgate or whatever, and you put up a pop-up tent, that's a 10 by 10. That's 100 square feet right there. So the average tree in our region, or the median tree in our region is covering 854 square feet. And oh yeah, we started to do our own studies with another grant that we worked on with our open space. And this is the measurement of this is what we've come up with so far. The measurements of trees that fall within open space. Leading the pack, we have Ansonia with 43% of their trees fall within open space, and Bethlehem with 13% of their trees falling within open space. Now, this open space includes all open space, whether protected or unprotected. We could spend a whole presentation on that, but that's another congressionally directed spending project that we've worked on. We have a whole online presence for that, for interactive mapping and a story map as well to go over that data. So some pretty cool stuff. I'd love to see some more in protected open space and open space in general, but I think it's some great numbers to say on average as a region, we have about 28% is what our region is in open space. So with that, I believe it is time for our data walk, which Molly is going to go over.
Great. So we wanted to give you an overview of the data that we have, but we also recognize that there's many variables and there's things to be critical of as far as the data we have. And there's things that we want you to kind of question, consider as it relates to your perspective and your own work. So what we have is an activity where you'll each break up into either pairs or a group of 3, and you'll find a data point around the room to start. Rich is going to kindly pass out a booklet of the different data points, and you'll just make notes, and you'll answer. You can consider these questions. What surprises you? What confuses you? What do you want to know more about? What do you think might be missing from the story, from the data? As we know, there are gaps in LiDAR assessments. And what does it teach you? So this will really help us to, as we're drafting our assessment, to be critical of the information we're finalizing in our report and make sure that what we get out to you all is actually useful for your day-to-day work. So with that said, Christine, Rich, and Danny are going to be stationed throughout the room. So you can ask them any questions or get a little more information if you kind of are confused. And I want to point out that the legends got switched on those two. So, but your data guides will help you there if it gets confusing. And at that, is there any questions before we break out?
And I will say, if there's multiple people from the same municipality, don't be in the same group if you can help it. Try to
It'll
join
help
a
you,
different
like,
town to
talk to
have a
somebody else.
conversation.
Yeah.
And those of you online, don't go anywhere because we will have a guided activity for those of you online as well.
Yes. And we'll just noting that we'll rotate every 3 minutes. And so we'll be letting you know when to switch to your next data point. But looking forward to hearing what you have.
How about adding it to a online, that's the camera.
It's a camera?
Yeah,
Oh,
and the
boy.
speaker.
It doesn't matter where you turn it.
Yeah.
It's looking at you.
So the map he's talking about is the average annual temperature versus canopy change. All the maps that were discussed can be layers in an online map. So you can zoom in and get, click on details and turn on other layers. Another reason why you're all here, the data is, we would put everything up, but we only want to put it up that's useful. And so want to hear from you. We'll go after, this group discussion, we'll collect all your clipboards, we'll take your notes, and we'll use them in formatting the report and your digital, your municipal profile. So if there's some sort of data point you think you want to highlight in your town, please let us know. So any other data points?
Yeah, I mean, I'll refer back to the bigger map there and you can put on the map what that particular town pays for tree planting,
So,
tree maintenance.
but from Woodbury's bringing up, we talked during the data walk, he's suggesting, it would be nice to know what other municipalities have budgeted for annual tree planting. That could be through the first selectman, something we could do. We could work with Drew Backlick, who's our municipal share services, and he would run that survey. So yeah, again, if you like anything like that, please run it through your chief elected official, mayor, first select person, and then NVCOG and start working on that.
Yeah.
Are you looking for, what we noticed about that particular map?
Anything you noticed on any of them?
On that one was interesting to me and my partner. We noticed that Bethlehem in particular had two different colors in it. And, we know it has nothing to do with urban versus suburban. And, cause Bethlehem is basically the woods. And the only thing we could think of is maybe topography or farmland, something like that to make it different.
It's probably agriculture, so depending on how you went through the data walk, there's a map on this back wall that just showed you tree canopy change. And the part that is dark with the annual temperature change is light on total tree canopy coverage. So, there's small correlations, but then there's also reverse in some of the urban areas where there's low tree canopy change or low tree canopy, but the temperature is also low.
And Rich, John is online if you want to say anything about Bethlehem.
And also just reference which map you're talking about in the room for those people online.
That is true. Okay. Anybody online have any comments?
I was going to add John from Bethlehem. I know you guys were showing, I was explaining to Molly earlier on one of the maps split the town almost in half, like east and west. And part of it, I think it was a darker one, orange and darker color one. A lot of it is we still have a lot of cornfields and hay fields. So our town is quite a bit still open in agriculture with fields. So you can drive for quite a while and still see a lot of these big fields. You'll see trees and stuff, but that's just where the farming doesn't exist anymore. Pretty much the fields had grown in. So we're kind of in that unique area. We don't have a lot of urban stuff, but we have a lot of agriculture.
And that's why we also got land cover as a data set for this project. So we know what's on the ground, you know, is it impervious surface, roads, parking lots, buildings. Is it just low growing vegetation? Is it bare earth? And then of course the tree canopy and then water, where no trees can grow. Well, except in some of the wetland areas now.
Yeah.
We appreciate your time here today. Like I said, we'll come, just leave your notes if you wouldn't mind. If you want to take them with you, just take a photo. Yeah.
Rich, I do have one more question that I thought would be helpful. Is someone asked what time of year the flyover was done? So
the flyover that was used in the aerial is in the summertime, so it's full leaf on. And that's done by the USGS at the federal level. The aerial called NAPE. Don't ask me what the acronym stands for at the moment. But the state of Connecticut does aerial flights every 3 years, and they'll be flying in the next week or two with leaf off, so they could do the LiDAR data, so they can actually get the ground elevation. And that's what the LiDAR information was used with the NAPE imagery for both 2016 and 2023. Okay. So like I was telling some people as we're doing the data walk, we lured you here because we're working on the report. We have the data. We want to know how this information could be useful to you and to write the report in that manner. You know, I know a lot of people are working on tree inventories and having issues with tree maintenance. You know, at the beginning of this program, there were some towns talking about ordinance development, filling out grant applications. We know this would be useful, and then sustainable CT. All 19 towns will get, I think, 1.2 sustainable CT credits because of this report. Is there anything else that you, as professional tree municipal staff or municipal staff specialized in trees, feel could be useful for her?
One of the questions you asked, was there any, specimen trees that we'd like to, I had written down one down that comes to mind for my town, and how would that, and I'm just imagining how that might help just maybe direct people to, enjoying the tree more, or understanding that they have a specimen tree in their town or something like that.
Oh, so like an ID for individual trees?
Yeah,
Okay, that'd be an interesting project.
And the notable trees.
they're notable
Yeah.
trees, like
Yeah.
I said, yeah.
We were thinking of doing a little feature in each municipality on our handout with one of the special trees.
That'd be good.
Anne Marie Ryan, online asked, are you concerned that the tree canopy data is not providing information on forest health and future issues? We're not concerned because we sort of knew we could not get that information going into this project. But it's something we thought of and are still thinking of. But unfortunately, with the scope of this project, we couldn't. That data cannot be determined.
Yeah, I think it's our hope that, like we said, the towns could use this as a baseline to then do tree inventories, and that would give you more insights into the tree health and issues that are facing on the local level. But at least it would support your GIS, like your tracking of things and your inventory, so.
Roy had a comment.
Yes, Roy?
Yeah, Mark actually picked up on the Naugatuck Mall down there, Brass Mill. There's clusters of trees which are planted, obviously, with the mall is built. Clusters are dying, clusters are thriving, and it occurred to us, why are some thriving and why are some dying? Is it environmental issues, is it species, is it water, I don't know, heat? But it'd be interesting to somebody took a look, analyze what was going on down there. Why are some good? Why are some not so good? Kind of a future lesson learned type thing. Been around 20-something years, so it provides a good database.
Okay. Anybody else? Aaron?
I did hear, walking around, I did hear a few times, questions about, whether we would include information about, the right tree for the right place, in the report. Maybe try to provide a little bit of information about, what species should municipalities be planting. What are the ones that, maybe require less maintenance, annually? Information like that I think might be useful for you all.
We did talk about that, yeah.
We'll kind of work with deep on some of that too.
No, yeah, and then we've been working with Connecticut Department of Environmental and Energy and Environmental Protection on this project. They're going to be actually helping us develop a sample tree ordinance to provide to towns, and they already have lists of appropriate trees for like street tree plantings. So like I said, this is the first event of this whole project. We'll be reaching out to you in the future to go over those ordinances and other items that we provide for you.
Do you know what the ratio is between native and invasive?
No, because we weren't in the scope of the project, we were not able to determine species of trees. Just that's they're there or not there. This is a reminder for everyone in person. We have a form for if you are an arborist and need any credit, same goes to online. If you need to, please reach out to Danny Thomas or myself to get the appropriate credits. Danny?
Okay, so we have some upcoming opportunities for you. One of them is the Deep Resilient Forestry Practices Grant. This is up to $150,000 for implementing a or many forestry resilient practices on municipal land. Practices can include invasive species removal, slash wall construction, timber span improvements, etc. NVCOG would be happy to help you apply for these grants if necessary. There is a forest management plan that needs to be written, but the state can work with you on that. This is only applicable to municipalities with less than 50,000 residents. I know that our two municipalities in our region that are over 50,000 residents, both of them have land that is outside of their city in areas that have less than 50,000 people. I have advocated for those lands to be eligible for this, particularly Bristol and Waterbury water companies both have lands in smaller municipalities. I've advocated for those to be eligible for this grant. I hope that they will see it my way, but I am not the final decision maker there. Next slide. I wanted to encourage everyone here to be considering going for its designation as a Tree City USA from the Arbor Day Foundation. I want to call out Southbury wherever you are. I want to thank you for your years of your designation as a Tree City USA. I think many of you might actually meet this requirement as is, and it would be an excellent designation to add to your city or municipality. There are 4 key requirements: is to have a tree board or a department that handles the trees. So that could even be your Parks and Recreation Board or your Public Works department. That qualifies. You have to have a tree ordinance. So written laws regarding trees. The big one, you have to spend $2 per resident. So for some of your municipalities, that's as little as $6,000. For others, it's quite over $200,000. But some things that can count towards that is your staff time, as well as volunteer hours. I know Woodbury has a big shade and tree commission. They have a standard hourly rate for volunteer hours. So if you track that, that can contribute towards your spending. And then the final thing is to have an Arbor Day observance event or proclamation. So I encourage you all to go for a Tree City USA certification. I'd like to see 19 out of 19 towns, but I'm happy with the one we have. I'm really hoping we can get more for that designation. So that's
And
all.
we can help you work on it, especially the ordinance.
We have, like I said, this is the first of many events. Tomorrow, we're actually going to be at UConn Waterbury campus. UConn and Nest are doing an urban forestry and public health event, and NVCOG is tabling. If you'd like us to be at an Earth Day or Arbor Day event, both dates listed on here, please let us know. The weekends around there are getting booked. We're already at the April 8th, Saturday the 18th, we're at the Ansonia Earth Day event. And we don't just have to talk trees. As mentioned, we have the open space inventory we completed last summer. We have a rain barrel and composter sale going on. So we have multiple environmental related tasks. We can always talk about greenways and trails also. And then on May 6th, with the Nature Conservancy Connecticut, we are working with them to hold an event on May 6th and right down the street here on Bank Street. It would be a all morning event. We're looking for nonprofit municipal partners to attend. If you're, if you're big into urban forestry or any kind of forestry, to register. There's a link. There's also a link in the chat. We also need about a dozen 5-minute lightning talks. So if you know anybody who would like to do a quick presentation, please reach out to Molly or I. We'll get you registered. And it doesn't even have to be a full 5 minutes either. And then our hopefully final event will be towards the end of June, July, when the report is finished. We have an interactive data hub for you to use, and whatever tools that were suggested today. Yeah. So that's the end of our presentation today. Like I said, please reach out to me for any general questions, anything about the realm of planning, please reach out to Molly. We can come and speak to your towns on this now, when the report's published, after the report's published. If you want us to talk about any of your commissions, please reach out to Molly and she'll coordinate that. With that, I thank everybody for attending. We appreciate you showing up and being very punctual. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.